The Saints eke out a huge win over the unbeaten Cowboys, and Teddy Bridgewater managed another offensive game plan well. We'll have highlights and plenty of reaction from the locker room and the podium on this special All Saints post-game edition of 4th Down on 4. The Saints are now 2-0 in games without Drew Brees. It's an unbelievable stat considering the Saints beat two good teams in Seattle and Dallas. I'm Doug Mouton. Welcome to 4th Down on 4. Sean Payton pointed to two stats immediately after the game. One, the Saints won the turnover battle 3-1, and two, they outrushed the Cowboys 117-45. We will have a ton of reaction tonight, but let's start with the highlights, and we start with the first of the big defensive plays as an intense Drew Brees watched on. Dak Prescott to Jason Witten. This is in the second quarter, about halfway through. That's A.J. Klein punching it out, and Von Bell with one of his two fumble recoveries. At the end of the second quarter, Will Lutz knocked through his third field goal. He was 3 for 3 in the first half, 9-3 Saints heading to the break. Third quarter, Cowboys come back. Dak Prescott to Blake Jarwin, 35 yards inside the 5. Zeke Elliott got the touchdown. Cowboys go up 10-9. Then Alvin Kamara went to work. This 11-yard run is ridiculous. It gets the Saints to the Cowboy 27, set up field goal number 4, 12-10 Saints. Fourth quarter, Robert Quinn gets a sack of Bridgewater as the defenses went back and forth among each other. The Saints would get the ball back after a stop with 5:22 to go. That's a huge third down pickup from Alvin Kamara. He gets 9 on 3rd and 1. They would run the clock under 2 minutes, but Dallas's defense would make one more play. Jalen Smith gets the sack. The good thing, though, about this sack, it forced the Cowboys to use their final timeout. Dallas got the ball back with 1:39 and no timeouts. Watch David Onyemata push through the middle, gets to Dak Prescott, gets the sack. The clock was ticking. They get terrific pressure on the final play of the game. It forces a short pass that Marcus Williams intercepts, and the Saints are able to beat the Cowboys, the final tonight in the Superdome, 12-10. Now, Sean Payton was stoic throughout the game. It is still September, and he was stoic afterwards. Here's Sean Payton.
I get angry at myself because it starts with me relative to some things maybe that we're putting in that we think will be easily replicated, and yet we get in the game, and recognize there are some challenges. It's a different group. It's different than a year ago. So we have to adjust a little bit better, and I think that really starts with me. I was pleased with how we ran the ball in the second half, and I thought that was significant. I hated my call at the end on 3rd down where we took a sack. I know better. I put him in a tough position there. We were thinking field goal, to make it obviously a touchdown game, but I thought our special teams did a great job of controlling the field position, and then obviously defensively we were outstanding.
Can you remember the last time you won a game without a touchdown?
No. I can't recall. Look, we did what was necessary tonight, but I was proud of how we played to win this game. Just a look timeout, yeah, just to see their alignment. Well, it's a zone pressure with everyone deep still, but I wanted our guys to get a picture of what the last play was going to look like. We had 2 timeouts, so we'll do that once in a while. Just get a snapshot. They got to go back in the huddle, and and they were short in their protection, and the ball came out early.
The Saints defense was outstanding tonight throughout the game. Dallas gained just 257 yards. Marshawn Lattimore, David Onyemata, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis all turned in big performances. But safety Von Bell led the way with 10 tackles and 2 fumble recoveries. And Andrew Doak was part of the media group that caught up with Bell afterwards.
It was, man. It was a great team win. I'm so proud of this defense and how we responded these last couple of weeks about finishing games, putting the quarters together, and we just finished the game. And man, we got a resilient group, and I love being out there with those guys, man. It was a great team win. Oh man, I just seen the ball, and on the one, I forced the fumble, and I recovered it. I was like, man, I just gotta make an impact play. Just keep up the trend. I've been trying to make plays on the ball each week and make a flash play, just putting the offense in position to put points on the board. So we're just going out there just trying to impress each other each week and going out there just having fun.
How much do you feel like, you hear players talk about contract years. I mean, how much does that motivate you going into a season like this?
It doesn't, man. I just go out there and have fun with my guys right now. I just let God handle the rest. And everything will happen and work out for itself, and we're going to see what happens.
How did you expect this type of game to play out? I mean, did you figure it would be down and dirty, or did you think it might be up?
I knew it was going to be a physical game. They was going to run the ball first, and we knew that. They got their offense go through 21, and we got to go out there and finish the run, fill the run, and we got to react out there with the play action pass and the drop back passing game. So we knew it was going to be a physical game.
Given the fact that Teddy's obviously having to come in on short notice the last couple weeks, how much do you feel like the defense has taken that as let's try to lift them up as much as we can?
We took that on our shoulders, and we took the challenge. We knew we got to surround them, keep our arms around them, just try to get the ball back as much as possible to them and put them in great field position, eliminate the explosives, and just go out there and just have fun, man. We just go around flying around, making plays on the ball, because the team feeds off us when we give the energy, and that's what we did today.
How much do you look at being 3-1, and given the adversity and the guys that you lost, and where you are right now? What does that make you feel, how this group's come together?
I'm not really worried about the schedule or the overall record right now. We just worry about the next game. We're worried about just impressing each other. We're worried about us and just getting better each and every week and winning the situations and playing our best brand of football.
All right, still ahead on our All Saints post-game edition, we will hear from Teddy Bridgewater and Alvin Kamara. We'll check in with Ricardo and Andrew on the floor of the Superdome. That's ahead on 4th Down on 4.
The Tigers coverage is brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile, the best deal.
Teddy Bridgewater's numbers weren't great. His quarterback rating, a 78.9, which was better than Dak Prescott. But as Sean Payton said, he can play better. Now, he did throw 1 interception and no touchdowns. That'll bring that number down. The interception, that wasn't his fault. Ted Ginn should have caught it. And he's developing a better rapport with number 13, Mike Thomas. Thomas caught 9 passes tonight for 95 yards. That is a great sign going forward. Here's Teddy Bridgewater afterwards.
Overall, great team effort. We knew that it was going to be a battle coming into this game. We knew last year we heard about how much more physical they were than us, and we knew coming into this game that we had to be the most physical team. We knew that we had to possess the ball and we had to be good in certain areas of the game. And of course, we're going to watch the tape tomorrow. There's some areas where you can improve on. I know for myself, taking that last sack on our last drive, taking us out of field goal range, and now making it a field goal game opposed to making Dallas have to drive down and score a touchdown. But in this league, we know how hard it is to win football games, and no one said they had to be pretty. The only stat that matters is the wins that keep adding up. So we're going to get back to work tomorrow, watch the tape, and find some things that we have to improve on, and continue to build on the things that we're doing well. Yeah, each week as I'm playing and getting that experience and getting more comfortable. Of course, we all have to get on the same page and stop shooting ourselves in the foot. For every big play that we have, it's brought back by a penalty. So we just have to lock in and just do what we do best, and that's play Saints football. We can't think too much. I think oftentimes when we're thinking too much, that's when penalties happen. So we just play fast, play with urgency, and play with some tempo, and it starts with me. And I'm going to continue to challenge these guys as the weeks go on, and challenge myself to play with more sense of urgency and more tempo.
Teddy, Coach got a big point with the sacks at the end to keep himself spot. wanted? Would you cut that down, or how would you
You know, I just have to be better in that situation. Like, I was aware that, we had points on the board. And I just have to find, a way to just throw it over Alvin's head or something and, send our kicking team out on the field. So it's one of those situations where you wish it didn't happen. You never want that to be the last play of the game as an offensive player. That leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But they say, at the end of the day, we won a football game, and that's why we play this game to win.
That's Teddy Bridgewater afterwards. You see Andrew and Ricardo behind me. Look, the silver lining of that play was it forced the Cowboys to use their final timeout, which really did matter. What did you guys think about Bridgewater's performance overall? Ricardo, you first.
Well, it's one of those kind of game management type things, and I know a lot of Saints fans are really enamored with the numbers that Drew Brees has put up with this offense over the years. So when you're seeing another quarterback taking the helm and kind of running that same offense and not putting up the same numbers that you've been accustomed to in the past, you're going to kind of question, is this the right quarterback for the system? And right now, Bridgewater, the thing he knows is that he doesn't have to make mistakes. All he has to do is just set up this team to get into scoring drives and ultimately win games. And, his numbers, 23 of 30, he was accurate, he's getting the ball out, he's setting up that screen game. He knows that he has to get it to his playmakers and Alvin Kamara and Mike Thomas, those two main guys. But he knows he just has to distribute the ball basically to his playmakers and not make mistakes. And for the most part, he didn't. Even that interception really wasn't his fault. It was actually Ted Ginn who should have hauled in that catch. So as Teddy Bridgewater knows that he just has to manage this offense and really just keep this offensive ship afloat until Drew Brees comes back.
Andrew, we didn't hear from you. What'd you think? I thought overall he was good, not great. He did fling it around more than in Seattle. What'd you think?
I thought he was more aggressive tonight. I mean, we saw him take several shots downfield to Mike Thomas. I thought he made a couple of good back shoulder throws. But I think at the end of the day, he's not able to get into rhythm because you look at the end of the first half statistics, there were 6 offensive line penalties and 5 of them were accepted. So I feel like I hear a lot of noise out there about Teddy Bridgewater not being as crisp as we want to see him, but it doesn't help when your own team's not giving you help. And Sean Payton said after the game, it's too much for us to be able to overcome. So before you start calling for Taysom Hill, give Teddy Bridgewater a chance with a clean game, can't we?
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. I would agree with that 100%. Dallas's defensive line controlled things on the Saints' offensive line, and Bridgewater didn't make a mistake even when under duress. Each of you guys, Andrew, you go first. Give me one thing that you're going to come away from this game with, your one takeaway, your one wow thing from the Saints standpoint.
I've calmed down a little bit. Okay, so
are you sure? Are you good? Are you good? All right,
okay.
He is.
Defensively, I think that was my biggest takeaway. This defense played their best game of the season so far. Marshawn Lattimore had his best game of the season so far. We know that back against the Rams, even against Seattle, he gave up some big plays in those games. Tonight, he shut down Amari Cooper about as well as you could. He limited him to 5 catches for 48 yards receiving. That was a big difference in the game, especially the Cowboys, since they didn't have Michael Gallup as well to be able to push the ball down the field. And when you talk about a team in the Cowboys that was coming in scoring 32 points per game, you hold them to 10 tonight.
Yeah.
You won a game, the Saints did, without scoring an offensive touchdown. That's the first time in the Sean Payton era that's ever happened. That's because of that defense.
October 1998 against the Tampa Bay Bucs was the last time the Saints won a game without a touchdown. Very impressive. I've got 2 points and 2 takeaways from this. One, Alvin Kamara is the featured back. Alvin Kamara, going into the season, we were like, all right, can he handle the rigors of late in the game? Can he pick up those big yards to move the chains, pick up big first downs, and ultimately seal games? We saw that tonight. Alvin Kamara is the guy going forward. We already know that, but he was able to prove tonight that he can get those big yards. And one overarching point that I think we kind of forget, this team, this roster, this makeup of this entire team, this team is really, really good. And I know there was a lot of worry about Drew Brees taking away a future Hall of Fame quarterback away from the lineup and being injured for 6 weeks or whatever. But this team is really good without Drew Brees. So imagine when they get Drew Brees back in 6 weeks, when they finally kind of work out these kinks, like on the offensive line, how dangerous this team is. They were Super Bowl contenders going into the season, possible Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl type team, and now I think we can kind of say that this team is really, really good when they don't have their future Hall of Famer under center.
No question.
Yeah.
Ricardo, Andrew, thank you. Look, Ricardo, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think you hit the red part of the bullseye. The Saints are a good team. Good up front on the defensive line, good in the secondary. When they all play together in one good game, which we haven't seen yet, this team can be really good. Thank you, guys. Lots more post-game reaction coming. Remember, Alvin Kamara tonight, 20 touches, 89 yards. Those numbers don't sound great. Here is Alvin Kamara afterwards.
I guess nobody said it had to be pretty, but pulling out W's last few weeks. I mean, how do you feel like you guys have grinded it out, and what have you been most proud of? I guess?
We grinded. I'm really not happy. We killing ourselves. We got to stay ahead of the chains. Penalties, 1st and 20. We can't stay on script and call what we want to call. I mean, we find a way as a win. I'm not downplaying the win. The win is a win, and it's hard to win in this league. But I mean, we're not playing at our best right now. Offensively, defense is doing their job. We got to do our job.
I guess given that fact that you guys haven't played as well, I mean, I know you said you're frustrated, but I mean, does that speak to still the talent that you guys have to be able to overcome?
Yeah, it does. I mean, like I said, we're overcoming this adversity that we're putting ourselves in. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. It's not really what teams are doing to us, it's what we're doing to ourselves. We're our biggest enemies when we're committing penalties and fouls on 1st down, 2nd down. We got to stay ahead of the chains. So, I mean, we got to get that cleaned up.
For somebody like Teddy, like, do you guys, are y'all disappointed to not set him up for success in certain moments? Just
I mean, yeah. I mean, it sucks because, I mean, it kind of puts a damper on some of the things we're trying to get to, some of the things he's doing because, I mean, like I said, we're on first and 10 and we get a penalty. It's 1st and 20. It's hard to put a quarterback in that situation. So we got to do better. We just got to do better with that all around our offense.
Do you feel like you guys, I mean, he seemed to challenge downfield more today. I mean,
yeah.
That part of the game plan, we got to get downfield.
I mean, he can do it. You know what I'm saying? So we really want to do it. I mean, it's just, like I said, just the same message. It's hard to do that when we're 1st and 20 or 2nd and 20, things like that.
Other side of the ball defensively, I mean, probably the best performance of the year. What'd you think?
They had a little bit of inspiration. I'm not gonna say what it is. They answered the call though.
Do you think having Breeze back on the sideline tonight was some morale boost for everybody?
I mean, Drew is a staple in this locker room. So having him back, I think a lot of guys were happy to have him, just to have his presence. And I know I talked to him a little bit on the sideline, just asking what he sees, and just like I always do.
Super Bowl's obviously not won in September, but just given what you guys have dealt with at this point, how would you assess, given the adversity that you've had to overcome?
We're winning. I mean, it's another win. We're performing. We're doing what we got to do, but going forward, we got to clean it up. I mean, it was enough to win today, but like I said, this league is hard to win in this league. So I mean, we want to do everything we can to put ourselves in the best position to win, not take ourselves out of a position to win.
1 month in, Alvin Kamara should be in the MVP conversation. Drew Brees was there. He watched the defense do unbelievable things. That coming up when 4th Down on 4 continues. As good as the Dallas defensive front was tonight, and they were very good, the Saints were better. They only got 1 sack, but they had 7 other quarterback hits in a terrific overall effort from the defensive line, and they were really good when they were needed at the end of the game. 1:39 to go. David Onyemata, Dallas had no timeouts, breaks through the middle, gets the sack, and then watch the last Hail Mary. It's pressure that forces Dak Prescott to let go of it before he wanted to. Even if it was completed, it wouldn't have been a touchdown, but of course it wasn't. Marcus Williams got the interception. That ended it for the Saints. It was a fitting way to end with the defense on the field. And tonight, the defense welcomed back one of their leaders. Sheldon Rankins is still recovering from Achilles surgery, and he's not quite 100% yet, but he's getting there, and getting him back was a huge boost for the Saints tonight.
To have that team coming here the way they were rolling those first 3 games and stop them the way we did, I think we held them to like 1.9 yards rushing or something like that. That's big. Now it's just got to be a week in, week out thing for us. You know, this is the standard for us. You know, this is what we expect from ourselves every time we step on the field, and we're gonna look to duplicate this week in, week out.
Sheldon, Sean Payton mentioned that this was kind of the target date game that you had circled for yourself. Did you feel that as the weeks kind of were leading up to this?
Yeah, listen, the moment they activated me, the end of preseason, this is always the goal. You know, in a do or die situation, sure, I could have probably, played week 1 or something, but it just wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have been me. for an extended period of time. So for me, it was always use those weeks to kind of build up the stamina, build up my, my work capacity, and be able to come out here week 4, primetime game against Dallas, and help this team come out here with a win.
For someone who's just never had that type of injury, like leading up to this game, what did you have to do with trainers and feel comfortable with yourself to trust it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like with anything, you just kind of find what works. Every guy's going to be different. Some guys are going to like certain type of treatments to get ready. Some guys, when they're healed, they just roll out of bed and they're normal. For me, it was just about finding my routine, finding what helped me get warm and stay warm, and allow me to go out there and play 100 miles an hour and not have to sit over here and nurse it and baby it and worry about it. So once I did that, then it was all about actually going out there and practicing full speed and being able to work on my craft and get better and do everything I needed to do to be able to get back out here tonight.
He was one of the major reasons the Saints got to the NFC Championship game last year, and he's one of the best locker room guys you'll ever find. We are back to wrap up this All Saints edition of 4th Down on 4 in a minute. 3-1 with the Tampa Bay Bucks coming to town Sunday. The Saints are a really good football team, and we are way out of time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on 4th Down on 4.